Hi, welcome to this video on cosine rule. Up until this point we've focused mainly on right angle trigonometry, but you can use the cosine and the sine function in different formulae to work out missing sides and angles within non-right angle triangles as well. So that is what we are going to look at today, starting with cosine rule, and then we'll do sine rule in a separate video. We still need to start with the basics and look at how we label the sides in a non-right angle triangle. When we were doing right angle trigonometry, obviously you have the opposite, the adjacent, and the hypotenuse. Where those sides were depended a lot on where the right angle was and where the other angle you were given were. But because this doesn't have a right angle in it, that's the point, is that it's a non-right angle triangle, we need to find a different way of labeling the sides. So the way we do it is we kind of start with the angles, which are these uppercase letters. We have A, B, and C. And we use the uppercase letters to represent the angles. So this is angle A, this is B, and this is C. And then from there, we can then label the sides. And we use lowercase letters to label the sides. And they are always opposite the angle that you've been given. So if this is angle A, this is side A, because they are opposite each other. If this is angle B, this is side B, because they're opposite. And then the same for C. Obviously, you could label those angles in whichever order you want. A doesn't have to be up here. This one could be A, but if you move them around, then you have to move the sides around as well. The sides always have to be opposite the corresponding angle. So if this was angle A now, that would have to be side A. And they always match up like that. So they always go together in opposites. I hope that makes sense. And then these are two forms of the cosine rule. So this one we would use if we were trying to find a missing side. It's a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Just, a nice short one for you there. We use that to find a missing side when we have two sides given and the angle between them. The angle between them is always going to be the angle that is then opposite the side you're trying to find. So if we use this triangle as an example, we would know what B and C were, and we would know what angle A is. That angle A is between the two sides you've been given, and then by definition it is also opposite the side that we're trying to find. Okay? The other form is when you are trying to find an angle. The only way you can use cosine rule to find an angle is if you already know all three sides. So cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. We need to know all three sides. We need b, c, and a to be able to calculate what angle A is. But again, it's very important that you put the correct sides in the correct place in the formula. So this A here has to be the side that is opposite the angle that we're trying to find. B and C don't matter so much, but this A is important. And I think that's all I've got to say about the formula. Depending on what you find easier, you can either just memorize one. If you're going to just pick one, the first one is always the better one to remember and kind of memorize. If you can remember that, then you can always rearrange that to make the second form to find a missing angle. Depending on what you find easier, if you find memorizing things really easy, you might want to, and easier than rearranging, you might want to just memorize both of them. That is entirely up to you. It's a personal preference. I tend to just remember this one, if I'm honest, and then rearrange it to get the second one. But yeah, that's because my memory's not great. It's easier for me to remember one formula and rearrange it than it is to remember two. But that's entirely a personal preference. So let's use it. Let's have a look at it in action. Here we have this lovely blue triangle. It doesn't have a right angle in it. And we are trying to find a missing side. So we have been given two sides and the angle between them. I'm going to label it just for demonstration purposes label it in an exam just to show that you can, and just to avoid making mistakes. Again, I say this all the time, but your mind goes a bit funny when you're when you're in a stressful situation, and you tend to forget things. So always start by doing the basic bits, label the sides and the angles. So if this is the side we are trying to find, I'm going to call that A, which means this is angle A. B and C don't matter too much, but I'm going to call this B and this C. And then I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use the first form of the equation to work out what A is. So I'm going to put in what I know. So I'm going to change my A now to x squared is equal to 6.5 squared plus 8.7 squared minus 2 times 6.5 times 8.7 times cos 100. Again, nice short formula for you there. Let's work parts of that out. Again, try to resist the temptation to just plug that straight into your calculator. You're always at lesser risk of making mistakes if you work parts of that out first. So I'm going to do 6.5 squared is 42.25. I'm going to do 8.7 squared is 75.69. And then 2 times 6.5 times 8.7 times cos 100 is negative 19.63960,889. Don't forget, okay, my answer was negative. This is negative as well. So a negative and a negative make it positive. So it's now becoming a plus 19.6396. I'm not going to round it in my calculator. I'm leaving it there when I do the next step. So I'm doing 42.25 plus 75.69, and then I'm pressing answer to keep that number as it is, and that gives me 137.5796, blah 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 blah. Okay, last step, again, one that's easily forgotten about once you've done all of that, is to remember to square root it. So we have x squared is equal to 137 point whatever. X is equal to the square root of that. So we are going to square root that answer. Again, I've left it in my calculator. I'm pressing square root answer to keep it as accurate as I possibly can. And I get 11.7 to 3 significant figures. And that's it. Done. It seems quite long-winded, but that is purely because it's a longer formula. The actual maths in there's not an awful lot you have to do. As long as you can remember the formula, it's just putting numbers into it and working it out. That is as simple as it's ever going to get. Let's have a look at how we use it to find an angle. I'm going to just use the angle form. So I have cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. Okay. Now we are trying to find the size of the smallest angle. The smallest angle is the angle that is opposite the smallest side. So our smallest side is this one, is this 3, which means this is our smallest angle. So I'm going to call that A, which means this has to be side A. That's the important one. The other two don't matter so much. So this is B and this is C for the purpose of this question. And I'm going to work it out. So I'm trying to find cos A is equal to 6 squared plus 5 squared minus 3 squared divided by 2 times 6 times 5. Again, work out what you can just to make it a bit easier. So we have 36 plus 25 minus 9 is 52 over 2 times 6 times 5 is 60. I'm going to leave it as a fraction because it's not going to give me a particularly nice decimal. Yeah, it's a long recurring one, so I'm going to just leave it as a fraction. Remember that we are finding a, not cos a, so we need to do cos minus 1 of 52 over 60, which is equal to 52 over 60, 29.923 significant figures. That's degrees because it's an angle, and that is 3 significant figures. Remember that if you are doing inverse cos of something, that will only work if that something is between -1 and 1. Okay, think of the cos graph. It always goes between -1 and 1. So you cannot do inverse cos of a number that is bigger or smaller than 1 or -1. Okay, so this here will always be less than 1 or bigger than -1 between the two. Okay, if you mix it up and you make a mistake and you end up with something bigger than 1 or less than -1, you know you've made a mistake because this is not going to work. You're going to type in your calculator and you're going to get that horrible maths error warning thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just a good way to make sure you're kind of on the right track. If you get to here and this number is bigger than 1, then you know something has gone wrong. But yeah, that's it. Using the formula to find a missing angle. Again, that is as straightforward as it's going to get. It's unlikely that you would be asked something like that on an actual A-level assessment. IGCSE maybe, A-level probably not. It's going to be in a more complex question, within a more complex question. Something like this. Again, they love a bearing. As soon as you introduce trigonometry, they love to add a bearing in there as well. So we have Coast Guard Station B is 8 kilometres on a bearing of 60 degrees from Coast Guard Station A. A ship C is 8 kilometres on a bearing of 18 degrees away from A. Calculate how far C is from B. So we need to draw ourselves a diagram, first of all. Because we're talking about bearings, I'm going to straight away put myself a north line in there because I'm going to have to use that for my bearings. I'm going to put A at the bottom of that north line. Station B is 8 kilometres away on a bearing of 60 degrees. So starting from north, we are going 60 degrees clockwise. Remember, bearings are always measured clockwise from north. So we're going to be about here, and then that line is 8 kilometres. So this is point B, and this line is 8 kilometres, and this angle is 60 degrees. Ship C is 8. Are they both 8? Oh, I think I wrote the question down wrong. It's 4.8. Oh no. 4.8 kilometres away from A, again, on a bearing of 18 degrees. So, getting a bit complicated with my diagram now, but we're still going from A, but we're going 18 degrees. We're going a little smaller distance as well. And then C is going to be up here. Okay? And then this angle is 18 degrees. So that those two angles are kind of overlapping each other. But you can see we're starting to get something that kind of resembles a triangle. Calculate how far C is from B. So we're finding a distance, which means we're finding the length. And we are finding the length of this line. So there's my triangle here. Okay? And I'm going to straight away redraw it with all of the correct lengths and angles and stuff that I actually need on there. So I have this, if I go back to my pink, I have this triangle. Looks something like this. This is A, this is B, and this is C. This is 8 kilometres. This is 4.8 kilometres. And we need this angle. Okay, at the minute, we have this is 60, this is 18. So this angle between my pink and my blue line is going to be 60 take away 18. So it's going to be 42. Yeah, really doubted my mental arithmetic there. 42. And then we are trying to find this length, x, which would be my A because it's opposite the angle that I know, and I know the two other sides. So again, I know I can use cosine rule because I have two sides and the angle between them, which means I can find the side opposite that angle, or the only other side that's on the triangle. So remember, our formula is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. Put in what I know. So I'm going to say this is b and this is c. So 4.8 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 4.8 times 8 times cos 42. I'm running out of space. Work out some of that. So start to simplify it a little bit. So I have 4.8 squared is 23.04 plus 64 is 8 squared minus 2 times 4.8 times 8 times cos 42. That gives me 57.0735, etc. Again, I am not simplifying that on my calculator. I'm not deleting my answer from my calculator. I'm leaving it there, and then I'm going to do 23.04 plus 64 plus my answer is 144.1135, and again there's loads more decimals there. Remember that this is a squared and I want a, so to find a I'm doing the square root of that answer, and that gives me 12.0 to three significant figures. It's 12.004. So to three significant figures. Have I made a mistake? I think so. What have I done? Oh no. Oh, that's really annoying. I've put a plus when I've oh no, that's too big. When I've simplified this step. Okay, here you go. You get to see me make a mistake. When I put this in my calculator, I've added that instead of subtracting it. I'm going to have to... So what I should have got is... Let me put it in my calculator. 2 times 4.8 times 8 times cos 42. Yeah, that's better. Okay, is equal to 29.966, and again all the decimal places. That is a squared. I need to square root it to find a, so I'm doing the square root of my answer. Square root answer is 5.4723 significant figures. There we go. That makes more sense in the context of my question. Remember, that is an actual distance that we are talking about. Let me move that a little bit. That is kilometers. Don't forget your units. It's important. That is kilometers. And that's it. We're done. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that little mistake there, but you know, it happens. Remember to make sure that your answer makes logical sense. Mine was clearly too big. So I needed to have another look at my working. Good exam skill there. Let's pretend I did that on purpose. The last question that I want us to have a look at is this one. Again, you have a non-right angle triangle. You actually have all three sides and an angle because some of them have variables on, and we are trying to find the value of x. So we are going to use cosine rule to set ourselves up an equation that we're going to solve to find the value of x. So let's have a look. I'm going to use my first form of the equation. So I'm going to call this a and this little a. And then this is going to be b and this is going to be c. And I'm going to put everything into the formula. So I have 5 squared is equal to x squared plus x plus 2 squared minus 2 times x plus 2 times cos 60. And I'm going to go through how to simplify that very, very slowly. So I have 25, that's nice, is equal to x squared plus, expand that double bracket and I get x squared plus 4x plus 4. Obviously I've expanded and simplified in one step there. There is absolutely no judgment if you want to do it, to the side and work out, and then expand it all and simplify. But I can do that. I've just done it in my head there, and I've got x squared plus 4x plus 4. Then this is where you need to be careful with your simplifying. This is where mistakes could happen. Put cos 60 into your calculator first of all. For this type of question, chances are it's going to give you a whole number. It's a half, right? So if this is a half, then it is going to cancel out this 2. They are going to cancel each other out. So we're just left with this x times x plus 2, which makes it a lot nicer. So I have x times x plus 2 would give me, it is a minus x. So it's minus x squared minus 2x. Okay, because even though I've cancelled the 2 out, this negative is still there, making this x negative. So when I expand it into the bracket, I get negative x squared and negative 2x. Lovely. Simplify that now. It's starting to look a bit nicer. So we have 25 is equal to, I've got x squared plus x squared minus x squared, leaving me with just 1x squared. I have 4x minus 2x is 2x, and I have a plus 4. Yeah. And now I obviously have a quadratic. I'm going to solve it. I'm going to make it equal to 0 first. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 21. I'm hoping that's going to factorize. I don't think it's going to though. Negative 21, 3 times 7. No, I can't get 2. Okay, I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula. So here I have a is 1, b is 2, c is negative 21. Put that into the quadratic formula. So x is going to be equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 21. That is all divided by 2a, so that's just 2. Simplify that a bit. Negative 2 plus or minus 4 times 1 times negative 21 is going to be negative 84, but it's already negative, so 4 plus 84 means I have 88 inside my square root over 2. And now let's work that out. Obviously, we can't have a negative length. This length of this triangle is x. So if x was negative, I would have a negative length. Doesn't make sense. So we need to choose the positive value of this. So I'm going to do it by obviously using the plus. If I do negative 2 minus something, it's going to be even more negative. My answer is going to be negative. So I need to do negative 2 plus root 88 to get my value of x. So negative 2 plus root 88 divided by 2 is 3.69, 3 significant figures. So that is my value of x. Again, I've forgotten my units. I talk in centimetres. Let me move that along. Centimetres. And that is it. That is more typical of what your A-level question would look like. They've combined cosine rule with solving a quadratic equation, just to make your brain work a little bit. But, in theory, there's nothing in there that you can't do. You can use cosine rule, you can substitute into an equation, you can solve a quadratic. There is nothing there that you can't do. It is just the bringing it all together that is the difficult part, okay? But I hope that's helped. This has been quite a long video, so I'm going to stop there. And yeah, I hope it helped. Have a lovely day. Thank you very much.